good afternoon. Today we're going to be finishing our Investigating the Past unit. There are more reading selections in this text that you can read on your own, but we're going to stop reading this unit and start a new one tomorrow. So we're going to do our last thing. There's also an optional project that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, but first we're going to do a reading selection of Grandpa's Treasure Chest, which is on page 22. Please make sure you have your Investigating the Past book and be ready to start reading along. Pause the video if you don't have what you need and go grab it. Okay, we are on page 22 and we are reading this text called Grandpa's Treasure Chest. This is a word study text. That means that we are looking for certain types of words after we're done reading. But first we're going to do a quick read through all the way through, and then we'll go back and we're going to look for certain spelling patterns and circle those words. Listen as we read, and don't forget to follow along with your finger.
Word study read. Grandpa's Treasure Chest. Last week, I went to my grandpa's house. Dad and I went into the attic to look around. Dad said we might find some old toys. Instead, we found something better. Grandpa's old chest. It was filled with lots of stuff from his life. First, we found a stack of photos. They weren't in color. They were in black and white. In one photo, Grandpa was running around his farm. He had lots of animals to take care of. Dad told me a story about a time Grandpa was making butter from cow's milk. He spilled all the milk. In another photo, Grandpa was riding to town on a horse. Dad said they didn't have cars when Grandpa was young. Grandpa loved taking horseback rides. Back then, they had no TV, no computers, no video games. They rode horses for fun. I think I would have liked riding horses too. Then we found an old uniform and some medals. Grandpa fought in a big war. He won medals for being brave. I am planning to ask him about that. I learned so much about Grandpa from looking at the things from his past.
Build.
Okay, so that was our first read through. Now we're going to look at each section carefully, and we are going to look for certain words. So in this lesson, we are looking for words with added endings. And the endings that we're looking for are ED and ING endings. And we're going to find all the words that we can that end with ED and ING, and we're going to circle them in our text. So I will do a couple in the first paragraph together. On the top, I'm just going to write down as a reminder what we're looking for. So as I said, we are looking for words that end in ED and end in ING. So as we read, look for words that have those endings. All right.
Treasure.
Oops. So here in the first paragraph, it says, last week I went to my grandpa's house. As I'm reading through, I'm looking carefully for these endings, and I don't see any yet. Dad and I went into the attic to look around. Dad said we might find some old toys. Instead, we found something better. Grandpa's old chest. It was filled with stuff, lots of stuff from his life. Oh, I see a word that has an ED ending, so I'm going to circle it just like that. So this is something you guys have done a lot. I'm not going to do any more practice on it now. Remember, we are looking again for all the words that have either ED or ING in the end. Now, notice that I did not, I would not circle the word thing because that's not an added ending. So a word like thing that just has an ING in it is not a word that I would circle. So even if I see the word thing in here, I'm not going to circle it. It has to be an ending. Like, for example, this word right here, running. You can see the root word is run, and then they added the ending, ing, to make it running. And that changes the verb tense. So that's what we're looking for as we read. Okay, good luck. Find as many as you can. And in a moment. Okay, so as a reminder, we have been learning about primary sources. Primary sources are, again, objects from your life, photos, actual tangible objects like things that you play with, like your toys, and documents, letters, your journal. Those are all examples of a primary source. And historians gather primary sources together to tell the story of what is happening at a certain point in time. So, for example, if the historian is studying the Oregon Trail, they might bring together primary source objects like a covered wagon, or they might bring the supplies that the pioneers would have had inside their covered wagon, or letters and diaries that people have written from that time, or maps that show the trails and the way that people traveled. Those are all examples of primary sources that historians would use to better understand how the Oregon Trail was for communities. So right now, we are actually going through kind of a historic time. It's not usual for our families to have to shelter in place, and it's not been common in our history. Only a few times in our history have we had worldwide pandemics like this, especially in modern times. So you are actually living through a part of history right now. And so what I want you to do is your optional project, and you guys can take photos and send them to me, is to create your own treasure box, just like Grandpa's treasure box. You can use, it doesn't even have to be in a box. It can just be a collection of objects on a table. And some ideas could be to gather out some of your toys that you've been playing with a lot more now that you're in a pandemic, or maybe some new things that you got, or new projects that you've started, art you've created, letters you've written, maybe a diary entry or a journal entry you've written since this started, photographs of you doing different activities, or pictures of if you've been drawing with chalk in your front yard. All of those things are good things that you could use to tell about what's happening in your life right now. Then you're going to gather those things, take a photo of yourself. You could create a video. You can explain what each object is. If you gather those things together, when we have our Zoom meeting, either later this week or next week, Friday, depending on whether we can schedule it, it would be good for you to bring those objects, and then we can kind of do a little bit of show and tell, and you could share something from your project with a class and why you chose it. So get those things together. You can put them in a box. It would be good to have an idea of why you're choosing things, not just putting random stuff in a box. Why is the object you're choosing representative of how your life has been over the last couple of months, now that we've had to go through so many changes? So hope you can have fun with this project. I look forward to seeing pictures from everyone. They can be emailed to me. My email is on our website, or they can be texted to me, and I will create a gallery and show everyone the photos you guys have created. So have a great day. That's it for Unit 7. Don't forget to do your word hunt.